Well, happy days are here again for Boris and Natasha. Boris sent Rocky and Bullwinkle into a secret missile base where they immediately ran into a minefield. Then there was general consternation, and his staff, who sent a couple of tanks out to investigate intruders. The two tanks ground to a stop at the edge of the minefield. Then suddenly a loudspeaker blared.
This is Major Hardrock of the Intruder Disposal Corps. You are to leave this area immediately.
But we can't. We're surrounded by landmines.
Yeah, and they go off real easy, too.
Why, if we was to just step over there... See what I mean?
Very well. This means we must use the Intruder Disposal Unit M3.
What do you suppose that M3 unit is, Bullwinkle?
I don't know, but I don't like the sound of that word disposal.
Then the turrets of the tanks slowly opened.
Hokey smoke, Bullwinkle, look at that.
I didn't think I'd like it.
Yes, an enormous mechanical hand emerged from the tank and firmly clutched our heroes in its iron grip.
Now what do you suppose happens?
The boys soon found out, for at that moment a huge mechanical foot also made its appearance.
Now I know what they mean by disposal. Fire two!
And our heroes went sailing through the air. Meanwhile, out on the highway, Boris and Natasha sped along on their motorcycle.
Won't be long, Natasha. We'll be at Mount Flatten.
You sure Moose and Squirrel won't show up unexpectedly?
I'm absolutely positive. By now they've been blown into itsy little bits. They're goners, kaput, all finished.
Then who is that we just passed?
Ghosts! Must have been ghosts.
Hitchhiking?
And Boris quickly pulled the motorcycle to a halt.
What are you going to do now, Boris?
You couldn't guess, Natasha? Me, world's #1 villain, cold-blooded, nerves of steel? What would I do?
What?
I cry like baby.
Boris.
And while Boris tried to drain the tears out of his goggles, Rocky and Bullwinkle were still trying to hitch a ride to Mount Flatten.
Hey, how about it?
Can you give us a...
Gee, we could be stranded here from now on, Bullwinkle.
Well, I'll stop the next car, Rock.
How?
I'll just lie down here in the road is what.
Hey, that's dangerous.
Tut, tut, Rocket. Who in the world would ever run over somebody laying in the middle of the road? Well, now we know who.
But it seemed the driver of that large limousine had seen Bullwinkle, for the car stopped and began to back up.
Looks like he's coming back for another crack at you, Bullwinkle.
Now that is going a little too far.
Hey, he's stopping.
I told you it'd work.
Gee, this is awful nice of you, Mr.
He's probably shy, Rocky. Let's just get in.
Our heroes did get into the limousine, and it started off down the road.
It's a little warm in here, Bullwinkle. Let's roll down a window.
Okay, Rock. Hey, that's funny.
What?
There's no window cranks.
No door handles either. Hey, I don't like this, Bullwinkle.
I'm not exactly crazy about it myself.
Hey, mister, what kind of car is this anyway?
But still the driver remained silent, for had our boys only known it wasn't a real driver at all, but only a dummy fastened to the wheel. And yet with no human hand to control it, the limousine roared on faster and faster toward... what? We'll find out next time in Crash Drive or Oedipus Rex.
Once there lived a young man who, more than anything else, wanted to become a traveling minstrel.
Yeah, like I want to wander through the kingdom giving concerts on my flat.
You mean your flute.
This is a flat. A flat is like a flute. You might say it's sort of a flat flute.
He had practiced the flat for 5 years and at last felt he was ready for his debut. He rented the Hamlin Concert Hall, dressed in a variegated suit of clothing, billed himself as the Pied Piper. The house was filled, the lights were dimmed, silence fell over the great hall, and he began. Unfortunately, however, even after he had begun to play, the hall was still silent. for the flat was such a high-pitched instrument that no human ear could hear it. The only ones able to hear the flat music were the mice of the kingdom, and they did not like what they heard. Oh, my, no.
Ooh, that is piercing.
That's the flattest I ever heard.
Let's cut out of here. I can't stand it.
And with that, mice left the kingdom in droves. But the audience, still unable to hear a thing, just sat, waiting for the concert to begin. In fact, they sat for 2 weeks before they knew it was over. It seemed as though the poor Pied Piper was a flop as a flautist, but a roaring success as an exterminator. Doing the only thing left for him to do, he took his flat and opened up an exterminator business, and was summoned by the king for his very first job.
Hi, Highness. You have an exterminating job for me to do?
Yes, I do.
Fine. What's the pest? Rats, cats, bats, lice, mice?
No, my mother-in-law.
Mother-in-law? But mothers-in-law are human.
Oh, yeah?
You fat pompous little worm! King or no king, you're a nincompoop! And let me tell you...
That's human?
But only mice are able to hear the flat music, and if your mother-in-law can't hear it, it couldn't possibly drive her away.
Well, what do mice have that mothers-in-law don't have? Why are they the only ones that can hear your flat?
Well, maybe it's something they eat, sire.
This set the king to thinking.
Eating lots of carrots gives you good eyes. Mice eat lots of cheese. Maybe that's what gives them good ears.
I think that's logic, sire.
I'm going to feed that old meanie cheese until it's coming out of her big ears.
And with that, the king gathered up cheeses by the score and set them before his mother-in-law.
Look, Mama, all for you. You open your big mouth now and eat all you want.
You're being nice to me. What are you up to, Weasel?
Nothing.
They're poisoned, aren't they?
Oh, come now, Mama. Would I try to poison my own mother-in-law?
Yes.
You're right.
What?
I said they're all right. Watch, I'll eat some.
The mother-in-law watched the king closely, and when he didn't drop dead, decided it was safe and tried some cheese herself.
Say, this is good.
Oh, the plan was working, but in order to keep her eating, the king had to eat cheese too. For 3 months, they ate gobs of Gouda, pecks of provolone, racks of Roquefort, and lots of Limburger. Finally, the king figured it was time to put the scheme to a test.
Psst, Pipey. Now, give a blat on your flat and we'll see what happens.
Right, sire.
What was that?
It worked.
The cheese had done the trick. They had both heard the flat clear as a bell. Now, the mother-in-law could be exterminated with no trouble at all. The king packed her bags, had a carriage waiting at the front gate so that she could make a quick getaway, and sent the piper off to do his stuff. The Pied Piper played his flat for the mother-in-law like he had never played before, but with rather surprising results.
My, what haunting music. Where could it be coming from? Why, it's you.
Yes, ma'am. Doesn't it give you that want-to-run-away feeling?
Heavens, no, I simply love it. More. Play more.
The Pied Piper, never having had anyone like his flat music before, immediately fell madly in love with the king's mother-in-law and played for her with all of his heart.
Like, go, man, go!
That awful flat music. Stop that this instant, you. I command you.
See here, Runt. I happen to like flat music, and if you don't, you know what you can do.
The king did know, and he did. He dashed to the waiting carriage and he sped away for parts unknown, never to be seen again.
Now then, are you ready, dear?
Yes, my love.
It was quite clear that the king's mother-in-law and the Pied Piper were meant for each other, and they were soon married. In the months to follow, it was decided that all in the kingdom should be allowed to enjoy flat music. So the castle was converted into a concert hall, and flat concerts were held nightly. And, oh yes, to ensure the audience of hearing the music, the eating of cheese was highly encouraged. Instead of a popcorn stand, a cheese stand was put in the lobby, so when the patrons came to the concert...
Yes, sir. Would you like some cheddar?
No.
Camembert?
No.
Gorgonzola?
No.
Well, for pity's sake, what do you want then?
Take me to your Liederkran.
Last time, you remember, Rocky and Bullwinkle, who were stranded in the desert, got a ride in a long limousine. It was only when they were inside the car that they found it had...
No window cranks.
No door handles.
Must be one of those economy models.
No, sir, Bullwinkle. Something's wrong here. Hey, mister.
But as Rocky shook the driver's shoulder, his hat fell off.
Bullwinkle, he's a dummy.
Please, Rock, you were speaking of our host.
But look, he really is a dummy.
So he is.
You know what that means, Bullwinkle?
Yeah, he must have cheated on his driver's test.
No, it means we're going 80 miles an hour with nobody at the wheel.
Here, let me get it, Rock.
And Bullwinkle grabbed the steering wheel only to have it come off in his hand.
I was right. It is the economy model.
Meanwhile, a short distance ahead, Boris and Natasha were still wondering how to keep our friends from getting to Mount Flatten ahead of them.
Hey, Moose and Squirrel just got picked up by limousine.
They'll be here in a minute, darling. We must think fast.
Think hard, Natasha.
And Natasha did think hard and came up with a brilliant idea.
I will change the road signs.
So without telling Boris, Natasha changed the road signs to direct traffic over a nearby cliff.
Oh, Boris will be so proud of me.
Then, unfortunately, Boris had the same idea.
Hey, I got it. I changed road signs.
And he unwittingly changed the signs back to the way they should be.
Natasha will be so proud of me. It's all settled, Natasha. Let's go.
Turn right here, Boris.
Don't be silly, Natasha. I changed the signs.
But Boris, so did I!
And the motorcycle went off the road and plummeted downward.
After this, Natasha, remember who is brains of this outfit. I figure way out of things.
Hey, brains.
Yeah.
Figure a way out of this.
Oh, boy.
And the motorcycle plunged into the treetops below and came to rest hanging from a branch.
Well, here we are, safe with sound.
Meanwhile, as they say, Moose and Squirrel are beating us to Mount Flatten, Mr. Brains.
Natasha wouldn't have felt so bitter if she knew our friend's plight. The limousine did take the right turn at the detour, but then started down the mountain road at breakneck speed.
Get the wheel back in, Bullwinkle.
I'm trying, Rock.
I'll see if I can turn off the engine.
Unfortunately, there were far too many buttons and knobs on the dashboard, and Rocky accidentally turned on the radio instead.
All right, you guys, sit still.
Yes, sir.
Put your hands up.
Anything you say.
This is the end for you, rats.
I had a hunch it was. Oh, they got me, Rock.
Stay tuned now for the second half of Mike Mallet, Public-Private Eye. But first, a brief word from our sponsor.
Bullwinkle, it was just the radio.
I'm not dead and killed and all.
No, but it looks like it's just a matter of time.
Fortunately for our friends, the road just then opened out to a flat straightaway.
Boy, that was pretty hair-raising.
You were telling me.
I wonder how we made it down safely.
I'm not sure we did.
Bullwinkle, look at the wheel. Something or somebody's steering this car by remote control.
The brainy squirrel had done it again, for in a darkened room miles from the car, a strange figure was directing their course with a number of push buttons. Unfortunately for our friends, while they were traveling forward at high speed, the figure punched a button marked reverse. And the car was immediately torn in half.
Oh, fudge.
Well, who is this clumsy stranger? Maybe we'll find out next time in Fender Benders or the Asphalt Bungle.
For all of you who want to become tigers in the field of journalism, here is Mr. Know-It-All.
Hello, copycats. Today's subject is how to be a star reporter.
In order to be star reporter, you got to bring back scoop.
You can count on me, Chief.
Here is hot scoop. Cover big boat fire at Pier 12.
Are you sure there's a boat on fire, Chief?
Positive. I lit it this morning on my way to the office.
Running up the gangplank of the burning boat, you rush down into the hold, where you find the fire burning merrily. This will be the hottest story of the year. Grabbing a nearby can of water, spelled G-A-S, you dash it into the flames and await results. Hello, Chief. About that fire.
Got another scoop for you. Rush over to zoo. His 2-day-old tiger cub smoking cigar.
Are you sure there's a 2-day-old tiger cub smoking a cigar?
Positive. I lit it this morning on my way to the office.
Dashing to the zoo, you rush into the cage, clearly marked Tiger. E-L-E-P-H-A-N-T, Tiger. Once inside, you proceed to spank the 2-day-old tiger, which weighs 40 tons and is smoking the longest cigar you have ever seen. Hello, Chief. About that 2-day-old tiger.
Never mind that. Come back to office. Is man about to jump off roof?
Are you sure, Chief?
I ought to be. It's me.
At last you are to get your scoop.
And did you get your scoop, Mr. Know-It-All?
I certainly did. I stopped off at an ice cream parlor and got 2 of them. See? Tutti Frutti and Pistachio.
Hello out there, Peabody once again, and over by the Wayback Machine is my boy, Sherman. Sherman's the one with the glasses.
Hello.
What do you think of China, Sherman?
It breaks awful easy, Mr. Peabody.
I'm referring to China, the country, Sherman. For you see, today we're going back to 400 BC, where we'll visit that distinguished philosopher, Confucius. In a trice, the Wayback transported us from my penthouse apartment to the ancient province of Lu. I consulted the street directory and discovered that Confucius resided at 301 Chow Main Street.
That's 301 over there, Mr. Peabody. But look, it's a penny arcade.
Nonetheless, it was also the home of Confucius.
Put a yen in a slot and Confucius gonna give you one of his very famous sayings.
Do you have a yen on you, Sherman?
Sorry, Mr. Peabody.
We don't have any yen, Confucius.
Then can I give you a famous saying? Gotta make a buck, you know.
Look, could we come back later when you're through and have a chat?
Why not? Confucius ends shift at 5:30.
We'll see you then. Sherman and I went to the nearest restaurant. I drank 4 pots of tea, and Sherman consumed 892 fortune cookies. We then returned to the penny arcade, and to our surprise, the place was overrun with police.
All right, break it up. Show's all over. Go home.
Pardon me, officer, but has a crime been committed?
You bet your boots.
Golly, where's Mr. Confucius? And where's his stall?
Sure, that's what we like to know.
You mean Confucius has been kidnapped?
Right. Also stolen, kidnapped. Boy, this very crazy modus operandi.
While the police spread a dragnet, Sherman and I thought things over. Over some tea and fortune cookies, naturally. Sherman, that is your 1,000th fortune cookie. Do you want to spoil your dinner?
I can't help it, Mr. Peabody. I like to read the fortunes.
What does that one say?
It says, "Help, I'm being held prisoner on a junk." And it's signed Confucius.
Well, this was obviously a great stroke of fortune cookie.
Where are we going, Mr. Peabody?
We are going to find that junk, Sherman.
But where do you look for a junk?
Where else but a junkyard? A moment later, we entered the only junkyard in town, and there, just casting off from the dock, was a sinister-looking junk. Quickly, Sherman, hop aboard. I gonna put you out the way, Confucius. Then I make million yen.
How so, kidnapper?
Oh, very simple. Confucius say jokes very big in China. When you gone, I start new game.
You have new game?
Right.
What you call new game?
I call knock, knock, who there? Knock, knock, who there? Peabody.
Oh, happy day! It's Honorable Rescue Party.
Unfortunately, the Honorable Rescue Party happened to be standing on a secret trapdoor. Now, as I was saying before interruption...
Oh, yes, you are talking about a new game.
He tricked us, Mr. Peabody. We're trapped down here with no way out.
There is always a way out, Sherman. One merely has to look for it. And look for it we did.
No steps, no ladders, no portholes, no nothing.
What have we here?
That's just a box of fish bowls.
Then that's our way out. Step back, Sherman. I'm going to let the river in.
But we'll drown, Mr. Peabody.
No, we won't. Invert the fishbowl, Sherman. Put it over your head. Even if the water should rise above our heads, the fishbowl will contain sufficient air to allow us to float up through the trapdoor. That's the boy. Yes, sorry. Knock, knock game. Brilliant idea.
I agree, but please turn faucet off. Confucius getting very wet.
Oh, hey, what's going on around here? How come river up to ankles?
Perhaps the tide come in.
Never come in like this before.
Boat sinking, head for shore.
Oh, no. Police on shore. Let boat sink.
Can you swim?
Swim? What does swim mean?
You better head for shore.
Minutes later, the police had everything under control.
You all right, Confucius? I'm fine, thank you. Good. Then we go to jail and you prefer charges against Genghis Khan.
Well, there they go, Mr. Peabody. But did I hear right? Did he say that the kidnapper was Genghis Khan?
Yes, Sherman, but I'm sure that by the time he's released, his name will be changed.
To what, Mr. Peabody?
To Genghis X-Khan. Let's go have some egg foo young, Sherman.
Well, it looks as if our heroes have been caught between two fires this time. Not only is Boris Badenov trying to keep them away from Mount Flatten and Bullwinkle's inheritance, but now a mysterious stranger has trapped them in a speeding limousine, which is remotely controlled from a spot miles away. Unfortunately, this new menace pushed the wrong button, and the limousine was torn apart.
Oh, crabapple.
Are you all right, Bullwinkle?
I reckon so. What transpired?
I figure whoever was controlling this car pushed the reverse button.
But where's the bottom of the car, Rock?
A good question, that. For at that moment, the bottom half of the limousine was running through the country, tearing up rocks and cactus. Meanwhile, our friends courageously decided to push on to Mount Flatten on foot across the hot, dry, burning desert.
Boy, what I wouldn't give right now for a nice, cool ice cream soda.
Yeah, sure would taste good.
Then suddenly a fantastic image appeared before Bullwinkle's weary eyes.
A ice cream soda. I really prefer chocolate. With 2 straws, please. Thanks. Now, Rocky! Come here, look!
Where?
Well, don't you see it? A ice cream soda!
Oh, there's nothing there, Bullwinkle.
Of course there is! I'll just grab it. Oh!
That's a cactus you got hold of.
I would have bet it was a soda.
You just saw a mirage, Bullwinkle. You know what a mirage is.
Sure, it's where you park your car.
No, it's an optical illusion. Your eyes are playing tricks on you.
They wouldn't do that. They're friends of mine.
And the indignant Bullwinkle stalked off. Meanwhile, on top of a nearby hill, Boris was unfolding another fiendish plan.
What's that, darling?
Like the man says, Natasha, this is fiendish plan number 346. Now look, here are we A. Here are Moose and Squirrel B. We fire small cannon C. Up in the air it goes. And lands on them just as they get to crossroads X.
X marks the spot, eh, darling?
You said it, kiddo.
But at that moment, there was a sudden interruption.
Boris, coming this way. What is it?
Don't know. Looks like traveling rock garden.
Of course, it was really the limousine chassis covered with rocks and cactus.
It's coming right at us.
Run, Natasha!
Too late, for in just a few seconds, the speeding chassis caught up with the villains and roared onward as they hung on desperately. Meanwhile, high up in the air, the cannon shell whistled wildly on its way as 1,000 feet below, Rocky and Bullwinkle slowly approached the fatal crossroads.
Mirage, my left hind foot. Oh! Disappearing sodies. Never heard of such a... Now look at that, Rock. I suppose you'll tell me that's a mirage. I know. Guess it was.
But though Boris and Natasha had been momentarily defeated, our heroes aren't exactly out of trouble.
Come on, Bullwinkle. We're bound to find some water soon.
I can't make it, Rock.
And the mighty Moose, unused to the desert heat, collapsed in his tracks. Well, it looks bad and very hot for Rocky and Bullwinkle. Please hold a thought for them. Till next time when we see Burning Sands or the Big Hotfoot.